Hi there, it's Laura here from Get Organized HQ, and I want to share with you my personal opinions and pros and cons of the OXO Pop storage containers versus the classic Tupperware storage containers. You may be surprised at these results. Now, before we dive in, go ahead and take a second, hit the bell, hit that subscribe, give this video a thumbs up. I don't want you to miss any more of the organizing videos that we have planned for the next several weeks. First point of comparison I want to talk about, and this is the most obvious and one that you can see for yourself, is kind of the look and appearance of these two items. Now, appearance is definitely a personal preference type of thing, so there's no way that there is a right or a wrong. But in my personal opinion, the OXO just looks a little bit more modern, and I really prefer the look of it, although they both are very organized and they both look very organized, but I think the OXO just has a slightly more modern appearance. And one other note about appearance is that when it comes to Tupperware, what I have found over the years is they change the colors of these lids, and it can be very difficult if you just want to buy like one more piece, maybe move or switch some things around. It can be hard to find that same color of lid, so that's going to make the look slightly less nice, that you're gonna maybe end up with lids that don't match each other in color. I will also say, as far as appearance goes, for both of them, these are a little bit less see-through. You can still see through them, but they're not quite as see-through. That could be a pro or a con for you. The OXO is very clear and see-through, although I will say it can get a little bit scratched fairly easily. So it's not going to stay looking absolutely pristine and brand new the whole time. Same for these, they can get a little bit cloudy, so they're probably just not going to stay, either one of them, for 10 or 20 years looking brand new. That's really fine with me, but that's just something you should be aware of. The next thing I want to compare between these two is how airtight they are and how fresh they keep your food, because that's a pretty important thing for these containers to do. I have used both OXO and Tupperware for at least 5 years, so I have a lot of experience with this, and this is the answer, honestly, that surprises me the most. Tupperware is definitely more airtight and more tightly sealed than OXO. And I know that may surprise you, because the way that the OXOs work is, and I really think it's a cool feature, is you simply pull it off, and then when you put it back on, you push it, and it's supposed to create an airtight seal with this gasket here. However, if I were to put crackers in here and say this one, I would guarantee you the Tupperware crackers would still be fresh in 6 months. The OXO would not. And the Tupperware lids are much more simple, like basically you just place them on and off. They're pretty easy to get on and off, and it's pretty easy to know when they are tightly sealed. But again, these just simply don't have that seal. And another thing that is super important to note about these is when you have something really pretty, pretty fluffy, like cornstarch or cocoa or powdered sugar, things like that in these containers, the lid will simply lift off. So I want you to see here that this lid is completely sealed, but it lifts off. See, I'm putting it down, I'm using it correctly, I'm pushing this down, but the lid just lifts right off without even using that, and that's because it is coated here with some powdered sugar. Now you may be thinking, well, what if you're just careful about putting the products in there and you don't let it get up in the gasket? From my experience, it's really tricky to do that. It's just really difficult to make sure that none of it flies up into the gasket. And let me tell you why this can be a problem. Not only do I feel like it's not completely airtight, although I still think this is safe and gonna stay fresh, I'm not too worried about that, but the lift off ability of this can be a problem, because just a couple days ago, as we were putting labels on these, two things happened. I actually dropped the cocoa because I grabbed it by the lid and it like spilled. And then just literally like 10 minutes ago, as you're getting ready for this video, Tasha was helping me apply this label and she tipped like this to put the label on and the lid it dumped off. So I just want you to be aware of that, and I want to tell you that that would not happen with Tupperware. I can go like this, I can go like this. Nothing is lifting off. So I do prefer how well the Tupperware seals to the OXO. Next, I want to compare the sizes that are available of both of these items and kind of how they fit together. So Tupperware has a variety of sizes, as does OXO, and they now both have this bigger kind of square size and then the two narrower ones that fit on top. 3 years ago with OXO that wasn't the case, but about 3 years ago they redesigned, and now I can get the baking soda and baking powder to fit right on top of the sugar, which I love. Now, the other thing though, when it comes to fit of the two, when you're trying to kind of put them together or stack them on top of each other, is that the OXO only has an extremely narrow kind of little lip right there. So these are not as secure. If I do this, they're just gonna slide right off. Versus on Tupperware, as you can see, this lip is a lot more pronounced. So when I put these here, when I go like this, it's gonna take a lot of tipping for them to fall. Where that actually makes a difference is, especially if you have them in a high cabinet and you're gonna need to pull it out when it's stacked, it's a lot nicer to have this deeper lip so that things aren't gonna slide off. Now again, if it's not in a tall cabinet, it may not make a difference. If you don't plan to stack them, then it's not going to make a difference, but that is a slight thing to consider. Now, as far as the sizes that they have available, I find that they both have a pretty good range of sizes. So they have the sizes that we actually need. Like this one perfectly fits a bag of flour with some space to spare. This one fits the bag of flour just like absolutely with perfection. Like one bag fits that perfectly. This fits the sugar just fine. So I think for both of them, you're gonna find pieces that fit what you actually wanna put in it pretty nicely, and then you're gonna be able to stack them up pretty nicely. The one thing that I will say, however, is that OXO is gonna take up slightly more space on your shelves or your cabinets because the lid is simply thicker. This lid adds almost nothing, no thickness to the top of the storage container, whereas this one does add some thickness, and especially if you have two layers, that really adds up. So for example, this right here will hold inside. It actually holds a decent bit more than this container, even though it doesn't quite look like that. That is actually true. And then when I put this on here, these hold a similar amount. I think these actually hold slightly more. And you can see how this is not quite as tall as this, and it's holding slightly more. So on my cabinets, the way that I have them adjusted, on my lowest cabinet, I can stack this, or I could stack this. And then on my second shelf, I could stack these on top of each other and they would fit, but I cannot put anything on top of this. There's just about another ½ inch and there's no notch for me to raise that shelf up. So that is something to think about, is that these are gonna be, the OXO is gonna be slightly bulkier than the Tupperware is going to be. So if you just absolutely need to maximize every square inch, then Tupperware will help you do that just a little bit more than OXO would. Next, I want to talk about the accessories that come with each of these. So with the OXO, they have this really neat feature here where there is this little, I don't know what to call it, like pop out on the bottom of each of their lids. And they have various accessories that you can slide on. So this is a perfect ½ cup measure, and I can slide it on my flour. When I used to use Tupperware, I would just stick like a measuring cup down in there, but I think this is a lot handier that it just fits right on the top. It doesn't have to go down in there. So that is a really handy accessory. They also have a couple more different types of accessories that fit on there. So here on the powdered sugar, this is a little duster. So you could like put some powdered sugar in there and use it to dust. They have a brown sugar keeper. They have a leveler that goes on there. So they have some really neat things that go on there. As far as Tupperware goes, of course, the lid is just like this. So there's really not any extra accessories that go on there. However, for these size of containers, they do have a lid that opens like this, and there is really a counterpart to this for the OXO containers. And this allows you, if you have like baking soda, baking powder, a spice, to dip your spoon in there. You can level it off right there without having to open the entire container. So those are kind of the differences in the accessories that they have. Next, let's talk about the price and availability of each of these. So, Tupperware you can get either from a Tupperware consultant or directly from Tupperware's websites. And there are links to all of this that I'm talking about down below if you want to check it out for yourself. And the OXO products can be purchased at various locations, Bed Bath & Beyond, and some other stores in store, or also Amazon. I like to do them on Amazon, and for me, they're covered under Amazon Prime shipping. So when I need a new OXO, I can just order it on Amazon and it will arrive at my home in 2 days. I love that. With Tupperware, I don't think their shipping is quite as fast, and it may not be free like it is if you have Amazon Prime, if that's something that you have. So that's something to keep in mind, is that I feel like OXO is just a little bit easier to get and to get more quickly. I will also point out, I didn't realize this when I was shopping for OXO on Amazon at first, is that they actually have one listing for an OXO container, and it has most of the different sizes in that one listing. So if you just click the drop down, you can change and look at all their different sizes, and that's how you would purchase just a specific size. Tupperware has them all listed out separately on their website for the different sizes. They also both sell kits. The best value kit that we have seen on OXO is at Bed Bath & Beyond, so be sure to check out their website. It's like a 20-piece kit for a couple $100. Tupperware also has a kit. It is significantly more expensive for a similar number of pieces, but I haven't yet done the math to see if their pieces are bigger or how much they hold. So that's something else to keep in mind. Now, just to compare kind of apples to apples, this is OXO's container that would hold a 5-pound bag of flour, and this is Tupperware's container that would hold a 5-pound bag of flour. This one on Tupperware's website is $21, and this one on Amazon is $19. So this one looks to be a couple dollars more. Now, of course, you're gonna need to factor in, can you get it on sale? Can you get specials and things like that? So they are similar, or perhaps Tupperware is slightly more expensive if you're gonna buy it outright at retail. I hope you have enjoyed this comparison of the OXO Pop versus the Tupperware containers, and any of the links to the items that I talked about today, if you'd like some for yourself, are down below. And meanwhile, leave a comment, and if you have tried any of these or perhaps another similar type of storage container that you liked, let me know in the comments below.